All right, guys, welcome back. 1776 or bust, and on the table, you see beauty, and that would be, of course, CZs, and in this case, lots of CZ75 models. So really quick, just kind of give you a roll call. Here's the P01. It's my original P01. It's my favorite, one of my favorite guns ever, actually. And then, of course, I have the Omega right here. Beautiful, just awesome gun. Awesome gun. Of course, I have the PCR, which is fantastic as well. And I also have the Phantom right here. And of course, the newest edition, which is my P01 green. Just feel so fortunate to own this because they're very hard to find. Just got lucky. I got lucky on Gunbroker, guys, and I'm so glad I was able to pick this up. So let's get into this nuts and bolts kind of whatever you want to call this. But it's not really a comparison. This is not an apples to apples comparison. This is an apples to oranges to grapes comparison. And what I mean by that is you have different trigger kits or spring kits in these guns. So I'm going to put the Omega away because I don't need that one. I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to take, let's see, I'm going to get rid of this one here too, but I'll tell you why that is in a minute. So I'm actually going to compare these three beauties together. So this is more of the apples to oranges, and then this is the apples to oranges to grapes. And the reason why I'm saying that is because you're looking at three different systems. This one has your just bare generic spring kit system from CZ Custom, or excuse me, Cajun Gun Works. Whoops. And this is an $18 kit. Then, of course, they charge you shipping and handling. So the total for this kit is $25. This one right here, this is from M-CARBO. This comes with a couple of different items, a little bit more so than what comes with this kit. Again, it's $19.95, and then additional for shipping and handling. This one comes out to about $25 as well. And again, if you put it in your cart and you decide to X out of it, you'll actually get an email from them asking you to, if you choose to buy it now, they'll give you 10% off. So that's a little hint for all you guys out there. And then, of course, this one here has pretty much the grapes comparison, and this is the granddaddy. This is actually the brand new Apex kit for the CC70 or CZ75 decocker models. So right off the bat, these two much more affordable than this one. Ultimately, it's up to you to decide which one you want to go for, but I will tell you there are some improvements going up the ladder, so to speak. So yes, this is much more price aware. This is about $135 to $145, where this is, basically almost a sixth of that, so to speak. But again, which one is for you? It depends on what you want to improve. So let's take a look at these. I don't want to go through this too much because, this will take too much time, and I don't want to bore everybody with trigger pulls. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what each trigger pull is, and then you guys can keep a running note or a tab to see which one's the most improved. So with the Cajun Gunwork kit, the first double action pull I get is 8 pounds, 5.3 ounces. And I'll do this again. 7 pounds, 11.8 ounces for a total of 8 pounds, 0.6 ounces. So a fairly good double action. Now I will tell you, stock in these is running about 10 pounds double action. And then the single actions run you about anywhere 5.5 to 6 pounds. So you're looking at 10 and 6. Now we're down to 8. So let's see where the single action kit, or excuse me, the single action is. 4 pounds, 0.6 ounces. 3 pounds, 9.5 ounces. For a total of 3 pounds, 13.1 ounces. So again, keep in mind, this has well over 1,000 rounds through it. So everything is really nicely, mixed together, so to speak. Everything feels good. All the metal's worn down. What I would tell you is that in regards to this kit, while you see the reduction in poundage, you're definitely going to have much more take up on this trigger than you do the other two. You can definitely feel the stacking. You can definitely feel the tension on the spring. You get to that point and then it breaks. Now the single action, there's not a lot of improvement there. It's fairly long. And then of course you always have that take up and even a little bit more wiggle room after that. And that's very typical in regards to the P01s. While they're not horrible triggers, there definitely needs to be a little bit more work on them. However, you can do that yourself by, polishing internals if you choose to do that. But in this case, this spring kit that cost me about $25 came with 3 springs and only 3 springs. A hammer spring, a striker spring, and a plunger spring. That's it. And you were able to get an improvement just on those 3 things, albeit you still get a little bit of heavy stacking there right before that double action breaks. And again, the very typical mushiness of your, P01 trigger, where you just even have a little bit more creep after you've hit that wall to the back. Now, the M-CARBO kit. So this M-CARBO kit is kind of cool because for the same exact price as the Cajun Gunworks kit, you're getting a couple of different things here. So first off, you get the hammer spring and you get a striker spring. You also get a plunger spring, which is also very good. So you're getting the three components that comes with the Cajun Gunworks spring, and you're really looking at the same thing. You're looking at the firing pin spring, the firing pin block spring, and of course the hammer spring. So for three of those pieces, it's the same exact price. But here's where it gets even better. They actually give you a heavy duty firing pin retaining pin. And this thing right here is what you're going to replace. And I think that every single kit that's sold from every manufacturer should actually have this pin as a replacement, because as you pull it out, you're going to notice that if you dry fire this gun, or if it's used and it's been dry fired before, or even just of wear and tear, the original holding pin is going to have a dent in it, and eventually that dent will cause it to snap. Now, with this, they've given you a heavy-duty one. Supposedly, it's going to work better over time, blah, blah, blah. You guys understand that, I hope. But nonetheless, that comes with the kit as well. And then you're also going to have a firing return spring pin and a sear spring. So you have two additional springs. And to me, for $25, the trigger return spring, including the sear spring, to me, that's a no-brainer. So for that, I definitely have to give it to M-CARBO, that if you're looking for the lower budgeted kit, the M-CARBO is a no-brainer because you're getting more for your money, and it's the same exact price as the Cajun Gunworks spring kit. So what I'm going to show you is what is the double action on this. Let's see. So 6 pounds, 14.6 ounces right off the bat. Whoops. And that's 8 pounds, 4.0 ounce for a total of 7 pounds, 9.3 ounces. So again, a fairly good one. Now, single action. £3, 1.3 ounces. So again, that is a pretty darn good improvement over the stock. 3 pounds, 14 ounces for 3 pounds, 7.6 ounces. So that should show you this gun doesn't have many rounds through it. It's only 200 rounds, but you can definitely feel the difference. You can feel that there's less stacking on the hammer. You can feel that the trigger pull has been reduced in regards to poundage. And what's even better is in regards to the single action on this. Well, it's about the same length, but there's absolutely no play afterwards. In other words, there's no more over travel on that trigger, and that probably has something to do with trigger return spring and amongst some of the other parts in here. So again, if I was going to choose between the two and I had to go with one of them, if I could do it all over again, I'd throw M-CARBOs in here as well, because it's definitely worth the improvement. Now, let's take a look at the green. Now, again, this one has the most expensive kit in it, so we're going to look at it. Now, some of you are going to say, well, you're not even holding it down where the hammer's fully down. Well, no offense. When you rack the slide, and it's a decocker model, you're not going to have the hammer go all the way down anyway. So you're going to be carrying it in this area like this. So that's why I'm measuring it from that perspective, because to me, it doesn't matter if the hammer's all the way down, because that's not how I'm going to be carrying it. So 7 pounds, 11 ounces. Whoops. 7 pounds, 5.2 ounces for a total of 7 pounds, 8.1 ounces. So again, not a bad improvement at all. Well, let me do that over because it got kind of jammed up on the trigger. 3 pounds, 12 ounces. 4 pounds, 2.9 ounces for a total of 3 pounds, 15.5 ounces. Again, this gun has never been fired, so that may have something to do with it being slightly higher on the single action. But again, you saw the double action is a very low double action. These run stock anywhere from about 10 to 10.5 pounds double action, and then the single action is anywhere from 5.5 to 6 pounds, in some cases a little bit higher than that. So you're seeing a massive improvement. Now, keep in mind, what does this kit come with? This kit's with a new hammer and a new sear. You also get your striker spring, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, and a hammer spring. So you have two different springs that come in here. You can either get the duty spring or you can get the competition spring. I actually went with the duty spring. So if I was to put the lighter competition spring, the trigger pulls would be a little bit lighter. However, I'm not going to test it out with that because I'm going to use the carry or the /duty hammer system, because I feel like that's going to give me the most reliable firing in regards to, primer strikes, that kind of stuff. Now, where is the real improvement in here? What justifies the cost? You know, I can't tell you, to be honest with you. I saw a really, really good improvement with the M-CARBO. I saw an okay improvement with the Cajun Gunworks kit. But the one thing that I can definitely tell you that I feel differently about this kit versus the other two is that this trigger is just so much cleaner. Everything feels lighter. So as soon as you pull that trigger back, and let's say that's where you're going to start your position at, as soon as you touch that trigger, man, it is right there. I mean, it just is a much smoother take up. It's a much smoother break. Now, in regards to single action, it's about the same in distance. But again, one of the things that I notice about this trigger is there is zero movement in that trigger. So as soon as you get to that single action mode, it is rocket time, guys. That's what I can say. Now, at the end of the day, does that really justify the price? You know, honestly, guys, I don't know. You know, if I was going to look at any of these kits and I wanted something affordable, I'm absolutely 100% going to go with the M-CARBO. The M-CARBO, in my opinion, is much better than the Cajun Gunworks trigger the kit, because of the price. For $25, you're getting more for your money than you are for Cajun Gunworks. And it's not a knock against Cajun, but I think they need to realize that there are competitors out there that are definitely putting up some really good stuff. And I think M-CARBO has the Cajun Gunworks by a mile at this point, which is kind of weird to say, but that is what I'm feeling in regards to these guns. But where does the Apex fit into all this? And you guys know I'm a huge fan of Apex. I love their triggers. I think they make fantastic stuff. It's all highly engineered, and I've never had any complaints. And I'm going to tell you right now, I have no complaints of this right now. Does the price warrant what you're getting on this handgun? Honestly, I think it might. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because, you know, you can mess around with all the trigger weights you want. If, let's say, this was a 5-pound trigger weight versus a 4-pound trigger weight, you know, are you really going to feel that extra pound? Probably, maybe slightly. But what I think is the real improvement on this gun is just the smoothness of the take up on that double action. So even if that was there, even if you didn't have some of the things you have on here, for whatever they're doing in there, maybe it's the sear that's causing it. But I'm going to tell you right now, this feels like a much more controllable, a much smoother double action with a much more responsive hammer and a trigger. Again, with the single action, what you're going to notice, it breaks right there. So it's pretty short. You got only just a slight take up, but there's absolutely nothing. There's no mushiness at all. And again, like I said, this is a gun that hasn't been fired yet. So which would I recommend? If budget was no anything to you, you can go and spend $400 and get a full Cajun Gunworks kit. You can do that. But honestly, for a little bit over $100, I think this would be the way to go. You're getting enough to make a difference in this handgun. Now, of course, if you want a 3-pound double action and a 1/2 pound single action, then go do whatever you want. But in this case, for 7 pounds to 3 pounds in regards to double and single, to me, it's just fantastic. It works really well. And I just can't get over how smooth the take up is on this double action. It just feels the way it should. Now, in the regards to the more budget conscious person, and you don't want to spend $400 or $100 plus, you definitely have two good options here. I mean, could you go with the Cajun Gunworks kit? Yeah, you definitely could. You could definitely do that. What I will tell you with both of these guns is just coming from this to these two, you can definitely feel that there's a heavier feel to both of these triggers. And they break the same. Again, the single action on the PCR, it's a little bit further, a little bit springier. But again, here's your reset right there. There's a little bit of movement and then it breaks. Again, very similar to what you're going to see here. So this is the single action on the P01. There's more movement. So I'm going to tell you there's more movement on here than there is here, but you still definitely have it. And going back to the CZ with the Apex, here's your single action right there. No take up at all. It breaks right on spot. So overall, which one is my best? Which is the favorite of my two? If I didn't have the funds to go ahead and get this, I'm actually going to go with M-CARBO. If I did have $100 or a little bit over $100, I'm going to absolutely recommend the Apex because it just has a better feel, a little bit smoother. Again, when this gun has some more rounds in it, I can't wait to see if it's going to improve that at all. But nonetheless, I have to say, it just feels a little bit better with that take up. Again, very manageable for both of these, but I think M-CARBO definitely has it in regards to the affordability factor plus with what you're getting in it. And I think ultimately, if you've got that $140, I think it might be worth it on this one. Again, can I justify the other parts from Cajun Gunworks? Maybe. If you get the $25 kit on this, and then you get some of the added others that you can find on the M-CARBO kit, maybe. But I've looked at the prices on some of their stuff, and they're pretty expensive. Maybe justifiably so, because they are good. But at the same time, it's all about what's better for you. So if I had to pick a number one for affordability factor, definitely going to go with the M-CARBO. If price wasn't really an issue, but I didn't want to spend $300 to $400 on a full Cajun kit, I'm actually going to say absolutely 100% go with your Apex trigger. It just works. What a surprise. One of the things I also will say before I end this video is if you're going to do this work on your own, be very patient. I'm going to tell you right now that when you start working with the sear cage on these, boy, just say your prayers and get your swear jar next to you, because you're going to be a millionaire by the time it's over. All I can say is a little bit tricky, but once you get it down the first time, then the second time, it becomes a little bit easier the third time. Just don't lose any springs. And I'm talking about experience on that one. So I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Tell me which one you think would be worth your time, and which one do you think would be worth the value. I think it's going to be interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of comments here that are going to be supporting the Cajun Gunworks stuff. But again, you got to try out M-CARBO, and you also got to try out the Apex kit to really be able to justify that. And I'm going to tell you that since I have all three, I am happy with all three. But if I could change anything, I would definitely get rid of some of this Cajun stuff and go with the M-CARBO, just because I'm getting more for the money, and I think it's a better improvement. And again, if money was no cost and no issue for me, every single one of these would probably have this one in, just because of the way the take-up feels on the hammer. So again, leave those comments down below. Hope you have a great night, everyone. Stay safe. And as always, everyone, freedom is never free.